Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Backups and Bandwidth. I'm so excited to have you here. I'm Jonathan Crow, Director of Community here at Ninja One, and we are relaunching this series. And you're going to have some things. If you've joined us to previous Backups and Bandwidths before, you're going to see some familiar faces. You're going to see a familiar structure, but we're going to lean in even more to the story a little bit. And so thank you, Chris. Thank you, Tim. Thank you, everybody, for joining in the chat. Please do jump in, participate in this game. So the whole idea is we are going to be going through a tabletop scenario. And tabletop scenarios aren't just for those crucial security incidents like ransomware, major outages. It's also good exercises to have for more common problems that you may be seeing. How do you train folks, your early technicians, to be able to troubleshoot? Go through some tabletop exercises. And so as a bonus, at the end of this one, you're actually going to get a link that will take you to a copy of this scenario. So if you want to tabletop your team and put them to the test, you can do that. So before we get into today's scenario, and before I introduce my guests, our players, I want to go into a little bit of the backstory here, set the scene, if you will. So let's go back into some of the folks who have seen our previous Backups and Bandwidth. You'll be familiar with our orc, Steve, who was an IT director at Amazar, a company that is well known for being able to deliver all sorts of products, anything and everything at preposterous speeds. So Steve has actually set off on his own, and he decided that after a incident that happened last October, a RTO apocalypse, he decided to set off and launch his own MSP, or as he calls it, his own his own managed enchanted anything technology and potions service provider, or MEAT for short. So, okay, let's dive in here. We start our journey here in a half-completed office, crates of mismatched hardware, wires like urban ivy, and a banner that almost fits the wall. Grand opening, Meat and Potions LLC. A towering orc in a slightly too small suit, emblazoned with his company's logo, straightens the sign, clears his throat, and bellows, "All right, new hires, listen up. You join the finest, the only enchanted anything technology and potion service provider in the realm. We call it Meat and Potions for short, because branding budgets are for people who don't carry great axes. I'm Steve, former director at IT director at Amazar. You know, every item a critical hit. Until a little October RTO apocalypse convinced me life's too short to reboot 300 goblin stop servers in a broom closet. So I grabbed my best backup scrolls, cashed out my PTO, and made a deal. Amazar becomes our first client, and I become my own boss. And you become the heroic crew keeping this whole ship afloat. Your mission? Keep Amazar's operations humming, grow our fledgling Meat and Potions empire. And for the love of bandwidth, try to make me not call you production incident number 1. Now, saddle up." And so with that, I think we should bring on our DM for this scenario, Adam Walter from Humanize IT. Adam, thank you for joining.
Definitely. I'm looking to bring the pain today.
I know that you are. And so you've got the scenario that you've created for us in this realm. You're going to be putting Steve's team to the test. Let's meet Steve's team. So first, we have the one and the only Tom Lawrence. from
How
Lawrence
we doing?
Systems. I stole your line, Tom. We're so used to hearing you
I'm
say
here
hey
from
to
Lawrence Systems. I've said that a few times and maybe in a couple videos.
Thank you so much for joining, Tom. Great to have you here. And you, no stranger to the backups and bandwidth scenarios. You've survived a few in the past.
Or the appropriate shirt.
And so now setting off as part of Steve's team, you're going to be a valuable resource, and let's see how long you survive this one. But you have help. You're not alone. You also have Amanda Berlin from Blue Mira.
Hey.
Amanda, thank you so much for joining.
Hey,
More
of
meat for the
course.
fire.
Yes. Adam, your background is so calming. I think we'll be fine.
Oh, I can change it.
Famous last words. And we have a new player to join you all. Luke Whitelock, our Director of
Hello.
Product Management here at Ninja One. Luke, it's your first time. Welcome to the party.
Yeah, a little bit terrifying. Adam seems quite intimidating.
That's why I'm so calm right now. I'm very pleased. Then
Well, let's-
the DM is happy, no one's happy.
Well, I'm going to give you a few other things just to set the scene here before Adam launches off into the scenario. We do have some rules that Steve, your boss, has created. So basically, the motto of meat and potions, we'll fix it or hex it. Your boss, the founder, Steve, the Patchax Grokmar, former Amazar IT director, he's got these rules that he rolls out as any onboarding. Number one, if it moves, we monitor it. Even if it doesn't move, we still monitor it. And let's see here. Because the moment you stop watching, it'll stop smoking. Number two, backups times 3, on-site, off-site, and off-plane. When reality glitches, at least one copy should still exist. No ticket, no click it. Any request that isn't in the queue is just enthusiastic small talk. Log it or watch it languish. No production changes until after sundown, no production changes after sundown unless you can solo a dragon. And last but not least, document like the audit lich is reading over your shoulder, because indeed she is. Your future self will thank you after the screaming stops. All right, so those are the rules. And you also have one other twist that I'm going to introduce here. You have, in addition, Scrippy. Look at this terrifying creature. So Scrippy,
What is that?
I'm so
It's like
glad that you asked.
Clippy for D&D.
Exactly right. So Scrippy is an imp and created from folded up enchanted backup scrolls. It does bring a bonus, actually. It's famous for saying things like, it looks like you're trying to restore something. Care for a checksum? There is a hook here. So once per session, Scrippy can auto-complete a half-written runbook step, granting the party advantage on a single troubleshooting check. But doing so also summons an "Are you sure?" confirmation dialogue that costs you 1 round. So just keep that in mind. You do have Scrippy at your disposal.
Any chance Scrippy will hallucinate?
Highly likely.
All right. So it's just
Highly
like any
likely.
modern tool.
Okay, so that's what you're operating here. Please do the burgeoning meat, do them proud. This is, as we said, Amazar is the flagship client, the one and only client so far that Steve has managed to get for you all. And lo and behold, you're called on your first jobs here. So with that, I'm going to back out of the picture here. And Adam, leave it over to you. Now, I will say before I forget, sorry, we are giving away a prize. And we want to encourage audience. You can be members. We're always looking for recruits, right? Meat is hiring. Meat and Potions is hiring. And so if the person who jumps in and provides the most helpful comment is going to win something very nice, something special that I would be jealous of. You're going to win the brand new Lord of the Rings Balrog Book Nook set. which is pretty sweet. It's coming out in a couple of days. So this is what you're playing for, in addition to Respect in a slot
Is it
potentially.
fireproof? Because that's really important to me.
Oh, yeah.
I have the collector's edition Lord of the Rings and Hobbits, so I really don't want those damaged.
I like Amanda's question here. If we're hiring, which one of us is getting replaced, or which one of you is going to be still alive by the end of this? I don't know. We will see. We shall see. Okay, so that's what we're playing for. So please, everybody, jump in, play along, give suggestions, heckle our players, give them support, whatever you'd like to do. With that, I'm going to bounce out of here. And Adam, I'll hand it over to you.
Awesome. So just a quick note for everybody. This is a real scenario that I ran across in a corporation I used to work for. All the evidence is real. The names have been changed to protect the innocent. All right. So first of all, you guys are all you all are working for meat, and you guys are going to come into your day here. But before you come in, I need to roll for each one of you. Uh-oh. It's not looking good for you. Luke, you can't join for 10 more minutes. Hey, Jonathan, can you do me a favor?
Oh no.
Oh,
We're down a member already.
All right. So turns in Luke's running late today. He cannot participate, nor can he hear anything that's going on. You guys come in. Can I have both of you roll for initiative real quick to see who comes into the office first? All right. Tom gets is that a 19 for you, Tom?
Wow.
It's a 19.
Wow.
All right, so Tom, you get to the office first. Amanda, you're going to come in a little bit later, but Tom, you sit down at your desk and you get a ticket from Amazon. Your first ticket of the day. It says that they've got a user complaining. This is a call-in that they could not get online. They can't get to the internet. So they don't know what's going on. And the call center, this is from the call center area. They're opening in 30 minutes. They need to get back online. They're the supervisor. They cannot get online. So Jonathan, can you give me a countdown timer for 30 minutes for this scenario?
I will. Be patient with me. Give me 1 second.
So,
give me a little bit more background,
as soon as
Adam.
this timer starts, you have 30 minutes to solve the scenario, or you party wipe, and we need to get a Rod of Resurrection out.
All right.
It's DNS.
It's always DNS.
It's always DNS. Unless everything goes really wrong, then it's BGP.
It's staying at 30 minutes here. They're getting advantage here because they're getting time to think about the problem.
I know. I'm sorry. Hold on 1 second. Jeez, the timer. I'm clearly not going to be on the team. Okay, here we go. I'm going to pop out this one. Let's try a different one. Here we go. And your time starts now.
Are you sure? There it goes.
There we go.
All right. So let me know what you do. You're in your MSP. Amazon is about 15-minute drive down the road. So you have 30 minutes to get the call center back up and running so that they can start taking calls in from magical customers.
First step, let's look at our dashboard, our RMM tooling, and see if we see them online.
What are you looking for online?
The user that has the problem. I guess they should probably also start with, is this user local to the office or are they a remote worker?
They're local.
Okay,
It's a call center. Everybody comes in the office. They're sitting at those flat desks.
So they're not a remote call center worker. They physically are in the call center.
Yep, they're physically in the call center. This is old school call center.
Got it. So let's start by seeing if the call center is up, see if I have other devices in there that have connectivity. Are they green in my RMM and showing activity?
What kind of dashboard are you using here? You want to give me a roll?
Let's go to roll here. Ooh, that's a 20, isn't it?
That's a nat 20. So what you see is that PC is definitely offline. It is not reporting in and has not reported in for quite some time, probably about since midnight last night.
Okay. So possibly a broken update here. Can I see that other systems are online that are in that same area?
Define area. So this is
the
this is a
call
large call center. You know,
Yeah.
you're looking for the pod. You're looking at physical location.
Like the pod, the call center people is that section of the building where other people are operating, other call center members, are their systems online?
Give me another roll for that.
All right.
I need to roll as well over here.
Damn, Tom.
Somebody's got a loaded die here. So
I don't know.
you take some time and you look around and you notice that that particular work group, you've got them set up into groups within the RMM or your dashboard, and you notice that it's kind of like a Christmas tree. You know, some are on, some are off. It's kind of a hit or miss. Like it's not 100%, but there's definitely a smattering of PCs that are on, and some that just have not reported in from various amounts of time, from 6 hours to 12 hours.
Okay. I would start looking through the logs and say, was yesterday Patch Tuesday? Did some of these systems get patched but not get patched, or patched and explode?
Which logs are you going to check?
Generally, RMM keeps a good history of whether or not a patch was loaded or is pending. So some of
Okay.
I would look for the last actions that were done.
All right, check again. Give me another roll.
Let's try and go for the triple here.
Oh no. So yeah, you are able to log into the logs. You see that a few patches were loaded last night. Minor updates, nothing driver or hardware related. It's
Minor changes and performance improvements.
Minor changes, performance improvements. That'd be a great way to put it on these. And those did go out to the majority of these PCs. The ones that are reporting in and are showing that they're updated, they're saying like, yes, they did patch last night.
Okay. So we might be that. Do I have something? Do I have a jump box there where I can try to start pinging devices?
I mean, you can remote into a PC.
Yeah, okay. That's fine.
I'm going to give you a given on that one, that you're going to be able to remote into the PC that is actually responding.
Yeah.
So you go ahead and you remote in, and the mouse keeps moving.
Ooh. So I have to try to disable the mouse because I'm playing tug of war with the user.
Yes.
That's the reason I asked for a jump box. I hate tug of war. They always lose, but they're not happy about it.
Denied.
Yeah, I just blinked their screen. It's like, look, it's my turn. Yeah, I would take over their PCs. I want to be able to try to start pinging so I can move laterally to see if the computer's responsive online when I'm moving laterally, and it's just not getting out to the gateway, or, we haven't got to the DNS part, but eventually.
Hey, I got to pause you for a second. Amanda, you're getting a call from Amazon right now.
Am I in the office now?
Yeah, you are in the office.
Okay.
Tom just came in first, so he got the log.
Okay.
You're in the office.
That's
I'm
why
sorry.
yeah,
I
that's why I didn't
apologize.
say anything. I
He
just
just
like
got in first, so he got the ticket.
Okay. I thought I was just still driving in.
No. The only person missing in action is that Luke guy, and who knows? He's hung over or something.
Okay.
So anyways, you're getting a call from Amazon saying, hey, I think somebody's hacked my computer. I was just getting in ready to work, and they started moving my mouse around for me.
I just figured that's Tom. That's fine.
Not even gonna verify.
Do you just yell across the office? Is that you, Tom?
Is that what PC are you on, Tom? I verify to see if Tom's on that PC.
Okay. All right. And Tom confirms he's on the PC. You can assuage the user if you choose to, or just let them freak out.
I'll be nice. I'll let them know that we're having some issues, and we couldn't get a hold of them to tell them we were going to use their PC.
All right, we're gonna call this lady Susan. She says thank you. That was weird.
Can we do a trace route to the internet? Maybe.
Are you guys talking to each other?
I don't know. Can you, yeah, Tom,
Yeah,
can
I
we do a
mean-
trace route to like 8.8.8.8.
Yeah, ping 9.9.9.9. So the no, if I'm on a PC, I'm going to try to ping laterally. I'm going to move. I want to see if there's a local response on the same subnet from that device, so I can determine if the device is up but not getting out. So if it's online, so I can start working on the troubleshooting.
Okay. What are you going to ping? Dead device, live device.
I'll try and ping from a live device to the dead device. The person who called, specifically the initial ticket person.
Sure. Yeah, give me you do a ping and you get no response.
All right. So no ping. I would next step figure out what the DHCP server is on that network and see if it's still handing out addresses. Maybe some people's leases didn't renew. We ran out of addresses. I'm going to look at some DHCP logs. Is it still handing out new addresses?
I need you to roll for me. Actually, I have a scenario for this. All right, you are having trouble logging into the DHCP server. You're getting there but it's just really slow. So it's going to take you about 5 minutes to search these logs.
Do we have any network graphs for our servers to see if they're spiking in traffic or anything else, or resources?
Yes.
Can we check those?
Yes, you can. I've got a scenario for this as well. Can you give me a roll?
Yes.
No more nat 20s.
Come on, I'm not great at rolling, so. Oh, that's
actually not bad.
That's not too bad.
You see the performance on the servers is actually it's snappy. Everybody's sitting. There has not been any major spikes other than a couple updates last night for traffic coming out of these servers. You see some network spikes around 11 o'clock the previous evening. Looks like there was a lot of traffic going around 11 o'clock. We don't know why, but you can definitely see there was a big spike. Maybe it was those patches going out, and it looks like Luke has drug himself back into the office.
Late night, huh, Luke?
Yeah, it tracks.
You weren't pushing updates in after hours, were you, Luke, violating Rule 3?
I hope not. I was quite drunk apparently, though, so who knows?
Don't drink and patch.
All right. Does Luke have any other information he needs to know or add to the conversation?
Yes, I came in late because last night I was on call and I was imaging a bunch of PCs over in the call center. They're all working when you left. You actually just tested a few and assumed.
He also admitted to drinking.
Sometimes you got after a night like that. So yeah, what Luke's saying is he tested a few. They worked just fine when he left. That was around 11 o'clock last night, which would explain the high network traffic you saw, Amanda. Tom, you are about a minute away from getting into the DHCP server and having a full review of those DHCP logs. This is a large environment. There's a lot of logs to look at. You are noticing some interesting things in the logs while you're looking. But you are seeing that addresses are being leased out just fine. The last series of addresses that were leased out were around midnight, but you're not done with your research yet.
I'll toss this one. Go ahead and ask some Amanda. I'm still reviewing logs.
Am I able to talk? Oh gosh, well, it's not DHCP.
Maybe check some switches.
Yeah. Well, I was hoping I would see that on like the network graphs, or did I only look at the network graphs for just the DHCP server?
You had a panel. You had a nice little SOC network that was kind of like, hey, here's the traffic on that network. You pulled it up. You had a nice logarithm server or something like that. Splunk.
Okay.
We'll call it Splunk. You had a Splunk server that had network graphs across the environment that were just showing you like you had 16 views. As a
Okay.
corporate admin, I always had my favorite one, but I don't know what you MSPs usually have.
All right. I'm gonna look at the logs and the traffic on the switch ports that those connect to.
Say that again.
The logs and the traffic, and see if there's any traffic on the switch.
Okay, give me a roll.
See, I told you I'm real bad at this.
Oh my gosh. You see the switch, but you don't know what's normal. You don't know what a normal backplane load would be for this particular switch. You see that there's squiggliness on the graph and things are happening. You see that some ports are green and some are not. And then Tom, you come back and you find out you finished your research here. You have found that for this particular scope, a lot of IP addresses have been used. In this is a large call center. You see all of the IPs for this particular subnet have been used.
Okay, so we do have DHCP exhaustion for some reason.
I mean, it just imaged a whole bunch of PCs.
Yeah. So we probably want to clear out the oldest leases. See, hopefully, well, double check like some of the old ones aren't actually in use at the moment. At least free up some and see if stuff comes back online. Or we could try and extend the subnet, which is going to be more painful.
I don't want to ready to make network changes. Actually, we should probably review that there were not network changes made, because if someone changed the scoping and it used to be a /23, now is a /24 or something reduced, that would be weird. But is there a journal of network changes that we can look at?
Well, thanks to the rules for Meet, all network changes are audited. So you can go back and check the documentation if you would like. The on-call engineer is sitting in front of you right now. That is Luke. Luke, Luke does not remember checking the documentation or updating it last night.
He was drinking. So
he was drinking.
Isn't there something to do with the dragon if that doesn't happen? I don't remember.
So Luke, I need you to roll as well.
Okay. Oh no.
Yeah, Luke definitely is going to get punished later. He did not fill out the documentation and does not recall changing the DHCP scope while he was imaging last night.
It's not recall doing it, but all right, we can start going with his idea to start deleting some of the unused, the older leases.
I was gonna say, can you get to that part of the DHCP server yet that will tell you?
Tom is definitely in the DHCP server and has access.
Okay.
All right. Because the server's snappy, so we don't think it's a network loop. Not yet. I seen some. It's always a worry because it can create some unusual behaviors, but network loop won't exhaust DHCP necessarily.
What process are you going to use to release or get rid of the unused DHCP scopes or DHCP server leases?
I guess it depends. Am I using?
Just do it in the GUI.
Yeah, do it in GUI. That's the easiest.
You're already there.
Yeah, just update and change it to a shorter release time. That's sometimes the cheat code. It works really well. It'll just it'll force expire all of them that way.
Yes, Chrism rolls do have a place in this, by the way, Mr. P. It's like if you're trying to bluff your way through things. So Tom, you go in there. Give me a good roll. All three of you give me rolls, and you're working on releasing the IPs via the Microsoft MMCs. Good Lord.
Yay.
All right. You successfully release the DHCP, unused DHCPs, and you also are shortening it. Is that correct?
Yeah, shortening the time.
Okay. Yeah. You did see that they were set at 24 hours. Now they are being set to what?
1 hour. We'll
Okay.
go really short here. We're troubleshooting. We'll fix later.
Yep. You got 12 minutes to the call center open. So okay. So you've released all the IP addresses that you can. That freed up a good solid 175 IP addresses. What's your next step?
Reboot that computer that was off. So contact one of the users, have them restart it, see if it gets an address and comes back online.
All right. Who are you going to call? You're going to call Susan?
Well, Susan was the one that was upset with me jiggling the mouse. So I didn't catch the name of the initial ticket opener.
The initial ticket opener was we're going to call him Brad.
Okay.
He's the supervisor.
Yeah, we'll call Brad. Reboot Brad. Time to reboot.
All right. Brad gets on the phone. It's like the reboot. How do I? That's the bottom, or is that the when I push the button on the monitor?
Yeah.
Which button do I push? So you work Brad through the how to restart a computer scenario, and you guys are monitoring the dashboard, and you see it comes up green in about 2 minutes. Ding!
Yay!
So now this particular PC is green.
All right. Since Brad's supervisor and saving us some trouble, hey Brad, reboot all people having problems.
If anybody has a
know how to do
problem,
it.
tell them to turn off and on again.
Yes, turn it on and off again.
All right. So Brad goes out, sends a floor-wide call and says, hey, if you're having problems with the DHCP server, please restart your computers. And as this happens, you hear this grumbling of everybody yelling around, like, how do I restart? It causes chaos. People are like, what do I do here? And you're seeing, as all users do, like, you'll see the lights come on, ding, ding, ding. And you're slowly coming up green. There's a few people that are straggling that are just taking forever. And so you get about 90% of them turn up green again. The last 10% are staying red.
10% stay red. Let's look at our DHCP server. Do we run out of addresses somehow?
You're still in there. You are not out of addresses.
Okay. They've just decided not to get new ones for some particular reason. And I kind of want to go back and touch on those ones to try to figure out the difference between a working switch port and a bad switch port. So if we did a differential here by looking at which one's connected and look at the switch port data, whatever we have through SNMP, compare it to the SNMP data that is available on the non-working ones. Do I have to roll for that?
Which ones are the non-working ones?
The ones that are still red.
Well, you see, I'm maybe going on a limb here that we have it documented of where these PCs are connected, and I'm going to go with maybe we do not.
You cannot log into these PCs.
Yeah, but if you actually map networks properly, you have all the ports labeled.
Okay,
Station
You're
one,
such
station
an
two,
optimist.
I mean, I know my ports are labeled, but I know environments are not always so labeled.
But Tom, since you did work for Amazon at one point in time, you do know that these are fairly well documented. It's just not if it was reliable, because the previous IT team at Amazon was in the middle of obviously migrating from one to another, but they had just recently patched and updated the documents for their new VoIP rollout before the apocalypse.
Can we
So
look?
you can see that there is the PCs that are not up. The ports are green. Go ahead, Amanda.
Okay. Nope. Yep. That changes my whole question.
Can we check the VLANs of some of those ports?
Yes, they're all on the same VLAN.
As the working ones?
Mhm.
Okay.
You said new VoIP upgrade. I feel like that's a clue. Did we put new phones in with the pass through when we have LODP set up on these for that VLAN, and maybe some changes been made there?
Well, I'm going to need a stout roll for that one.
Hmm.
Do any of you have a history in VoIP?
Yes.
I do.
I will give you. Oh gosh,
Oh, Nate. Tom, you are rolling for me from now on.
I was gonna give you advantage, but I see you don't need it. You know, Tom. It turns out Tom was after the major issue with the zombies and Kyle Spooner nearly killing him. Tom meticulously went into the logs between the PBS and the VoIP migration, and does know for a fact they were set up correctly. They were provisioned. All the VLANs were set up correctly, and the routing was set up fine for these particular devices. There's absolutely zero issues with the phones that he is aware of.
And the phones are getting an address, so it's something is.
We know the phones are getting an address.
Well, they're calling and complaining to us. So
Can I have all three of you give me a roll real quick?
Those?
Everybody give me a roll real quick.
Maybe they called from a different phone.
Ooh, you're not going to beat that.
Nice.
let me add a 20 to this.
Wow.
So close.
All right. Well, you get a call back. Hey, Tom, Brad calls you and says, hey, thanks for getting us up. We're up and running, and yeah, we're going to be able to make our calls today. So thank you very much for everything that you've done. However, you still see that about 10% of the PCs are offline.
Who's
Green?
not there?
They're offline. They're offline, but their SNMP is green.
No, 10% of them, the response to the dashboard, they're showing as offline.
Oh, okay.
Brad's reporting that everybody is up and running.
Can we talk to one of the users on one of those machines and see if it's working or not?
We don't trust Brad.
Which Brad asks you what are you talking about? Which machines?
Well, let's look at the last logged on user of one of them and ask to talk to that person.
Give me a roll. You are no Tom. No, you log in and notice that the last long on user was L. Cranston, Larry Cranston.
Let's call Larry and see if he's working okay this morning.
You dial the digits number for his phone and no one answers.
I don't think Larry's there today.
Let's ask Brad if Larry's actually in today.
Brad says no, this is not his shift. Larry's a later shift.
Of course.
Okay, so
Who's sitting at Larry's desk?
No one.
so the off ones sound like people that aren't there. Because Brad's telling us things are working.
Is the machine just off?
Close the
They
ticket.
didn't restart it because it wasn't. No one was there to need restarting.
And we really haven't solved why we had DHCP exhaustion. That's odd. Because re-imaging shouldn't change a MAC address and therefore cause a lease exhaustion.
Well, it didn't say re-imaging. It just said imaging.
Imaging, yeah.
So maybe they were new ones.
And because Luke was drinking, he can't remember, were they new PCs or they just... He's like, I installed something. I was busy.
Do you guys want to check to see if other desks are having issues, or if ask Luke if he has any memory of how he did this? What's your next step here? You got 3 minutes, 57 seconds left.
We solved the temporary problem. We just don't know what caused the problem.
Is it going to keep happening?
Yeah.
Can you check the VLAN of the phones?
You did already.
Yeah,
If we were imaging, we could have been doing like a Pixie boot or something, which would have potentially caused the exhaustion because they could have then got double IPs and everything.
That's true.
Did you want to check for that?
Yes.
Give me a roll. Investigation
Oh, no.
on duplicate address usage on PXE booting. Oh, just made it. You are correct. You used the production VLAN for re-imaging and testing your boot time. And since this is a large area with a lot of PCs on a single VLAN, you used up all the IP addresses last night. And when you tested, you only tested a couple. and just
Tom,
assumed
Tom
the
didn't
rest.
realize that in the GUI. It should have been right. All the duplicates were right there, Tom.
So yeah, if only Tom would have rolled higher, he would have known. All right, you can stop the timer, Jonathan. They had 2 minutes and 30 seconds left to do this. But yes, the issue is that we had imaged out PCs the night before, trying to expand out a bunch of new hires coming into the organization. And because we had those issues, and the on-call tech went home in the morning, no one knew that we were out of DHCP addresses. In our particular real world scenario, a network engineer, who will not be named, picked up the first ticket and was asked what's going on. And it took him slightly longer to solve the problem because they assumed there was a VLAN issue with the new VoIP phones. And so we went down a couple of false rabbit trails there. But in the end, it just ended up being a guy who was just trying to do his job, trying to expand out the number of desktops available, and didn't release the IPs. And I think they were set to a week, actually. I cannot remember. So congratulations, guys. You solved the problem in under the time. Everybody's up and running, and Steve is not firing anybody today. Although Tom's looking to get a promotion for the sheer speed and high rolls he had.
It's a weird issue because I've run into it actually was shutting down a site to site going across the desert. It was a fun troubleshoot, but they were not using like the pass-through with the phones, but the phones physically had the pass-through, but they didn't know a user who read phone and PC. It says that on the bottom, and it also said that on the wall. So they plugged in the phone to the phone and a PC to the PC, and they created a loop, but the loop was point-to-point wireless across this large desert area, because this is literally an Indian reservation, and they had point-to-point at all these remote locations, and someone had looped it in the weirdest way. It was hard to find because of the point-to-point. It took a long time before the loop would actually complete, and all the VLANs were crossed, and I'm like, oh, your firewall rules are wrong. Nope, that was not it. It was so hard to troubleshoot. We found one little field office with the phone plugged in wrong. And the user had the best answer. It says PC here and it says phone here. That's what they said. And I'm like, you are absolutely right. And then they had the wall jacks labeled PC and phone. So they plugged in. There was no computer in the office. All it was an office, field office of the phone. So they plugged one to PC and one to phone. And it looped.
I've been through a number of the network starts failing, and I run over to the server room, and you see somebody with just a look of shame on their faces. Can only imagine a larger one like that. So at this point in a good tabletop, what we say is, I want to ask each one of you, how could we have solved this faster? What would have allowed us to come to a resolution quicker? What did you miss? What did you mess up?
I think understanding that a network change was made when the re-imaging or imaging part was happening, knowing that if I look through a change log of what was going on just prior to an event, someone's maintenance, someone updating computers, is because it's patches, yes, but it's also more specifically imaging, and we're using Pixie Boot. That little piece of information sends you down the network path, I think, quicker.
I thought it was interesting that you guys were moving right along through the technical, but you got thrown for a loop when the last 10% wouldn't come on. I'm thinking like, no one at the desk.
Yep.
Some people are off work that day, and there's that debate about, do we keep all the workstations on all the time, because too many users get in the habit of turning it off. And I mean, we run around putting Energy Star compliance and save the world, and let's turn all the computers off. But for an MSP, how am I supposed to update it? Because you don't want me updated during your sitting at the desk time. So I need it on at night to be able to do that. And no one's got a truly good Wake on LAN setup. I mean, we all know everyone on this call and everyone in the chat knows how to set up Wake on LAN. But does anyone actually have this deployed really well in the enterprise?
I've never seen it deployed well. I think one of the other things is
the best one we did was we had you guys are gonna laugh at this. We were switching out over to Cisco core switching, and so we had a bunch of Foundry switches just sitting in piles. And so we created a out of band network that we put all of our Wake on LAN our DRAC cards on for our servers. That was the closest we got to an actual reliable offline network. And would we ever do that with PCs? Oh gosh, no.
Mhm.
And we were the kind of organization that had the red plugs because those are the ones the generator were in. And so we weren't even that paranoid where we set up Wake on LAN.
Well, and someone pointed out, I see Tim Johnson here saying, DHCP scope gauge monitor of some sort. Yeah, there is alerts you could do on that to say, hey, we reached exhaustion, we've reached this. That is something you can find in error logs on DHCP servers.
I can't remember if there's a Splunk rule you can set up. I'm sure you could write one.
Yeah.
And I've written some crazy rules, but having those kinds of alerts up, especially when you've got a client who does have a call center, DHCP scoping is a very large issue. Do you just make larger scopes to make this not happen in the future? But it doesn't matter how big the scope is if you're not cleaning out the addresses. If
There's
you're
a
not
lot of IP addresses you can use. I don't know. I feel like
Like
sort of a class A.
We just had a consulting project recently where a client just went, we're just putting a /16. We're never running out.
that's like,
16, man. Come on, go for the gold.
I see people use external IP addresses all the time internally. Like there's so many more we could be using.
My worst one, I'll say from a DHCP standpoint, was when somebody, or this is early on in my career, did not know the difference between subnets and scopes. So they thought /16 meant 0 through 16.
Oh,
oops.
That caused a lot of issues for Adam when he inherited that network.
Yeah.
So I'm curious. Well, first of all, congratulations all, and let's see here. We've got congrats in the chat too. Everybody is praising you for living through that scenario. Before we announce the winner and give a little teaser about what's coming up for next month, Amanda and Luke, I just want to make sure you guys had a chance too. Anything there, like looking back on it, any takeaways or things that could have gone better from your perspective? Amanda, you want to start?
Yeah, I think there's also a discussion that happens a lot around how many changes you're making at the same time on downtime windows, right? So that's always one that you can always kind of come back to, right? Like, should we have done all of this at the same time? I mean, reimaging computers is something that happens all the time anyways. But knowing that process along with the other stuff that you're changing is a good thing to kind of pay attention to.
Nice. Great one. How about you, Luke?
I'd say some updates to the like deployment standard operating procedure needed. Things like don't just assume by checking a couple of them, make sure they've all come back online, making sure you're like either using a separate deployment VLAN or checking that you've not exhausted the DSPs, like learn the lessons from what went wrong, update your procedures so it doesn't happen again.
I like too how thanks, Chris. We're gonna feature requests too. So this is great. We'll pass this on to Luke. That's why he's here. Thank you everybody for joining. Any other, I guess, Adam, before I wrestle control from you here and share things, I did want to share, I'll bring it up on the screen. You mentioned that this was based on a real experience that you had, and I think that's super cool that we're building it that way. So we have this doc. It's just a Google Doc for now, but we are collecting scenarios, everybody. And so we're collecting them from folks we're reaching out to, but we also want to hear from you too. So if you're a member of the Discord, and if you're not, you should be. I'll put on the caption the QR code that you can use right now to join. Go into I believe it's our channel where we're sharing basically story time and horror stories and everything. Go to that channel and drop some stories in there, and we're going to look through that, and we're actually looking to build a collection of scenarios that people can go through and pick through and then run with their teams. We want to make this easier, right? So let me share this link with you. This is just for starters, but we're working on having a more kind of packaged version of this that'll be coming out, and we're planning on collecting all the scenarios that we're running through here in backups and bandwidth. So wanted to call that out.
Yeah, definitely. I'll happily convert if you've got a good fun scenario that you learned a lot from and you think is very applicable to people. I'll happily convert it into a kind of this format. The goal is you should be able to run this with your own teams, test them, see how they work together. There's weird things you can add in, like a blizzard. Everybody has to roll and see who actually made it into office, or a blackout, or a hurricane. And so you can add that on top of a scenario like this where Luke is not available, Amanda's not available. Suddenly Amanda gets a panic call from a family member saying that they're trapped. They need to get out of their driveway. And you're dealing with these personal issues. And I've done a lot of tabletop scenarios for critical infrastructure, and it gets really kind of crazy, the things they throw at you that you don't think about. But if you have a scenario, just let me know. We'll write it up, and maybe we'll use one of your scenarios on these Backups and Bandwidths events.
Absolutely. And so, because as we call it, the fires are fake, but the fixes are real. We want to go through. We're having fun, a little bit more creative license with this, and you can run it any way you want it. You can run it completely straight. But the idea is we wanted to root these scenarios in the real world, so they're actually good troubleshooting exercises. But we're obviously having some fun with them, and we're going to keep doing that. So we're going to invite our players back. We're going to continue the story of meat and potions. We even have a logo. Check this out. There we go. Meat and potions. And maybe we'll have some swag that you guys can get too. So we were going to carry on the story of the MSP. Good luck with Amazar. They're keeping you as a client. I'm sure you're going to be getting new ones and experiencing all sorts of additional challenges and fun scenarios. So let's award our prize winner. So again, we're going to be giving away this brand new Balrog You Shall Not Pass Lego book set. And the winner is Tim Johnson. Thank you for being a part of this and having comments and suggestions throughout. Awesome. Well done. I saw some other ones who were super active. Mr. P, Chris Thomas, Alexander, others. We're going to make sure that you guys get Backups and Bandwidth shirts. Chris, you may have one already, but if you don't, we'll get you one too. So thank you everybody for that. And we're going to be coming back next month. So the idea is to have these running pretty regularly. And so the last Thursday in June, we're looking to be back. With that, I think we're going to be wrapping up. And look at that. We didn't take an hour, cut an hour and a half, 2 hours for a scenario.
Good at this.
All of you did well. No one's fired. Adam, any other parting words from you?
No, I think this is great. Again, like we're trying to create this as an actual MSP. Have we decided it's going to be in Austin, Texas yet, Jonathan?
I mean, what a place for bizarre things to happen. Yeah, why not?
So, yeah, like the idea here is we're going to continue in this, like as we learn in scenarios, just like a regular D&D match. Like you get to call back to previous scenarios. You get to leverage. Oh yeah, I know Susan from Amazar, and she was very grateful that I helped her last time. I'm going to call her for a favor. Or Tom does not ever want to return back to Amazar's building and has hangups there for obvious reasons, and he's going to make sure that anybody but him gets to go.
Awesome. Well, thank you everybody once again. Congratulations, players, and thank you, audience. And we will see you next time. Take care, everybody.
Bye, everyone.